Hi, I'm Bradley Bell with the Upstream Collective and Antioch Church in Louisville, Kentucky. And in this video, we're going to be walking through element 16, innovating the strategy. Here's our definition. A sending church innovates by honestly reevaluating itself according to the sending church elements, while also researching new missions trends and practices. This provides the opportunity to assess its entire approach. And based on this assessment, church leaders then make necessary changes and communicate those changes to church members and sent ones. And so what this element is basically acknowledging is that the world is rapidly changing. And so having a set of convictions, vision, and strategy is fantastic. But within a year, 2 years, especially 3, 4, 5, things can vastly be different in your own context, and especially in the global context, places where you are engaging, among people that you are engaging with. Also, following the Holy Spirit is dynamic. It's not that we don't want to make plans, we don't want to build strategy. No, we believe the Spirit is in those things. We ask Him to be in those things. But also, following Him means He can change directions on us, and we want to submit to that. And so innovating the strategy allows us to kind of bring everything before Him again and say, what do you say, Lord? What would you have us to do differently? How do we respond to the changes that are happening beyond our control? One of the places that we see this occurring is in Acts chapter 16. It's a famous place we refer to as the Macedonian call. Paul is seeking to evangelize in Europe, and we read in verse 6, they went through the region of Phrygia and Galatia and were prevented by the Holy Spirit from speaking the message in Asia. And when they came to Mysia, they tried to go into Bithynia, but the Spirit of Jesus did not allow them. So bypassing Mysia, they came down to Troas. During the night, a vision appeared to Paul. A Macedonian man was standing and pleading with him, "Cross over to Macedonia and help us." And after he had seen the vision, we immediately made efforts to set out for Macedonia, concluding that God had called us to evangelize them. And so there's this sense that Paul is trying desperately to go and do what he feels called to do. Like we talked about earlier in the vision video, that his vision was to preach the gospel where Christ had not been named. And so the Spirit's not allowing that to happen. What's going on? Well, it's because the Spirit is guiding him toward a specific place to engage, and that is Macedonia. And so this is what we do when we're innovating the strategy. Spirit, where do you want us to go and do differently than where we have been? And so the definition says, honestly reevaluating itself according to the sending church elements, while also researching new missions trends and practices. And so we've been walking through these sending church elements. Simply put, you take those elements, you look at them, you compare them to your church, and you say, where are we doing well, and where are we not doing so well in these elements? And then evaluating and understanding new missions trends and practices. In a rapidly changing world, there are things that are happening constantly around us, such as globalization. We're all so deeply interconnected like never before. There's also migration. People are migrating by the millions across borders in all parts of the world. Then there's urbanization, where there's so much population growing toward urban centers, toward cities. And so your church may have made a commitment at one point to engage with an unreached people group, and yet all of a sudden that unreached people group is infiltrated with maybe thousands, millions of people from another people group. So does that mean your strategy should probably be affected in some way? Possibly so. Maybe there's an innovation that needs to happen there. And also missions practices, maybe there's something that's a bit outdated in what you're doing that could be tweaked or innovated in such a way that would make more effective ministry as you engage in those places and among those peoples. And so based on this assessment, the definition continues. Church leaders then make necessary changes and communicate those changes to church members and sent ones. And so I will just say this as a caveat. I would not encourage a full-scale change where you just say, complete reorg, we're just going to do it all differently than we did before. Because that kind of pulls the rug out from under people, and especially those that you have already sent out and the partners with whom you've already made. So I would encourage you to go about this step by step, and invite others into the process as much as possible. That way they aren't surprised by changes when they come. And then when you do make those changes, communicate them well to people. I would never encourage you to make a change in such a way where out of the blue you say to a partner or to a sent one, hey, we're no longer going to be able to support you financially. Sorry, see you later. Because that's their livelihood. You need to be able to at least give them some space to know that that's coming and to be able to replace that support over time before it's cut. And so that's just a basic idea of innovating the strategy, bringing what you have committed to do as a church before the Lord and asking Him to refresh it. And so may the sending God bless you as you seek to innovate the strategy in your sending church.